They handed me divorce papers at my own birthday party, in front of 200 people, wrapped in a silver box with a white ribbon like it was some kind of gift. My mother-in-law was smiling like she'd just won the lottery. My husband wouldn't even look at me, and his pregnant mistress was standing right there in the crowd. They thought they were destroying me. They thought I'd cry and break and disappear quietly into the night. But what they didn't know was that I'd been planning for this moment for 3 whole months. I had evidence. I had lawyers. I had receipts for every dirty secret this family had been hiding. And I was about to burn their entire world down. Stay with me, because by the end of this story, you'll understand why the worst night of my life became the best thing that ever happened to me. This is about revenge, but not the kind you think. This is about freedom. Let me take you back to where it all started. Welcome to Reality Stories Hub. While you are here, please hit the subscribe button and comment your view on the story and where you're watching from. You know, sometimes the worst moments of your life turn out to be the exact moments you needed to wake up. Let me tell you about mine. My name isn't important for this story. What matters is that I'm a Black woman who worked herself to the bone to become a senior architect at one of the biggest firms in Los Angeles. I designed buildings that touched the sky. I earned every single degree on my wall, every promotion, every award. Nothing was handed to me. But when I married Tyler 5 years ago, his family looked at me like I was some kind of gold digger who got lucky. Like I should bow down and thank them for letting me into their perfect little world. Tyler came from serious money. His family owned a chain of luxury resort hotels across California. They had that kind of wealth where they didn't even talk about money because they had so much of it. Country clubs, yacht parties, fundraising galas. That was their life. And his mother, Victoria, she was the queen of it all. She wore designer everything and had this way of smiling at you that made you feel small. From the very first time I met her, she made it crystal clear that I wasn't what she wanted for her son. It was never loud or obvious. No, Victoria was too classy for that. It was the little things. Comments about how unique my natural hair looked. Questions about whether I really understood the difference between the wine selections at dinner. Forgetting to save me a seat at family gatherings. Taking family photos, and somehow I was never quite in the frame. Death by 1,000 paper cuts. That's what my best friend Keisha called it. But I loved Tyler. Or maybe I just loved the idea of finally being enough for someone. So I kept trying. I straightened my hair. I laughed at jokes that weren't funny. I smiled through every backhanded compliment. I convinced myself that if I just tried harder, they'd eventually see me as family. I should have known better. When my 32nd birthday came around, Tyler told me he wanted to throw me this huge celebration. I'm talking about renting out the rooftop of the most expensive hotel in downtown LA. Champagne, live music, 200 guests, the works. That wasn't me at all. I would have been happy with dinner and my close friends, maybe dancing at our favorite spot. But Tyler insisted. He kept saying he wanted to show the world how much he loved me. He wanted everyone to see us together. Looking back now, that was the first warning sign. But I ignored it because I wanted so badly to believe him. Victoria took over planning everything. She didn't ask me about flowers. Didn't ask about food. Didn't ask who I wanted to invite. Nothing. When I tried to get involved, she'd touch my arm and say, "Oh honey, don't stress yourself. I've planned hundreds of parties. Just show up and enjoy yourself." That should have been warning sign number 2. But again, I told myself maybe she was finally trying to do something nice. Maybe this was her way of accepting me into the family. I was so desperate for this woman's approval that I ignored every alarm bell going off in my head. The night of the party, I walked onto that rooftop, and it took my breath away. String lights everywhere, white flowers on every table, the city lights sparkling below us like diamonds. A jazz band playing softly in the corner. 200 people dressed to perfection, most of them from Tyler's world. Keisha found me the second I walked in. She grabbed my hand and pulled me aside. "Girl, something's wrong," she whispered in my ear. "I've been here for 20 minutes and Victoria keeps looking at you like she knows something you don't." I glanced over and sure enough, my mother-in-law was watching me with this little smile on her face. Like she was enjoying a private joke that nobody else understood. I shook it off. I was wearing this stunning red dress that fit me like it was painted on. My makeup was perfect. My hair was laid. I was determined to enjoy my own birthday party. For the first hour, everything seemed fine. People came up to wish me happy birthday. The food was incredible. The music was beautiful. Tyler kept his arm around my waist, but I noticed something strange. He was drinking more than usual. and his hand kept shaking every time he picked up his glass. Every time I tried to really talk to him, he'd find an excuse to walk away. He'd see someone across the room he just had to say hello to. He'd need to check on something with the caterers. He couldn't look me in the eye. Then came time for the speeches. Tyler's father went first. Some generic speech about family and legacy and tradition. Nothing personal, nothing real. Then Victoria stood up. The whole rooftop went quiet. She was wearing this white pantsuit that probably cost more than my first car, and her smile was so big it looked painful. "I have a very special gift for our birthday girl," she announced, and her voice carried across the entire space. 2 waiters brought over this large silver box wrapped in white ribbon. It was the kind of gift box you see in movies. The kind that makes everyone hold their breath. My heart actually jumped because for one stupid second, I thought maybe this was it. Maybe she was finally welcoming me. Maybe all those years of trying had finally paid off. The entire rooftop was silent. Everyone had their phones out, recording this moment. I could see the little lights from dozens of cameras pointed at me. I untied that ribbon. I lifted the lid. I pushed aside the white tissue paper. And my entire world stopped. Inside that beautiful box were divorce papers. Not just any divorce papers, but ones that had already been filled out, already signed by Tyler, just waiting for my signature on the dotted line. I stared at those papers like they were written in a foreign language. My brain couldn't process what I was seeing. This had to be some kind of sick joke. This couldn't be real. But before I could even open my mouth, before I could even react, Victoria started talking again. "Consider this our gift to you and our son," she said, and her voice was so sweet it made me sick. "We're freeing Tyler from his mistake. He deserves to be with someone from his own world. Someone who understands our lifestyle. Someone like Amber." She gestured toward the back of the rooftop, and this young blonde woman stepped forward. I'd seen her at a few family events. She was maybe 24, 25 years old, wearing a dress that barely fit over her very obviously pregnant belly. My stomach dropped to the floor. "Amber is carrying Tyler's child," Victoria continued, and she was smiling like she'd just announced something wonderful. "The grandchild I've been praying for. And now that this unfortunate chapter is closed, our family can finally move forward the right way." 200 people. 200 people watching this. Phones recording every second. And my husband of 5 years was standing there looking at the ground like a coward. I waited for him to say something. Anything. I waited for him to tell his mother she was insane, that this was all wrong, that he loved me. But Tyler just stood there, shaking, staring at his expensive shoes. He wouldn't look at me. After 5 years of marriage, he couldn't even meet my eyes. That's when something inside me changed. Not broke. Changed. Like suddenly everything became crystal clear. Victoria was still talking, going on about how I should just sign the papers right now, how they'd already packed up my things from the house, how generous they were being with the settlement they were offering. She actually used the word generous. Keisha tried to push through the crowd to get to me, but I held up my hand. I didn't need saving. Not anymore. Because here's the thing nobody in that room knew about me. I didn't get where I was by being naive. I didn't become a senior architect by age 32 by being stupid. And I definitely didn't survive 5 years in their world without learning how to protect myself. "You want a show?" I said, and my voice cut through Victoria's speech like a knife. "Let me give you a real show." I walked over to the band and took the microphone right out of the singer's hand. He looked confused, but he handed it over. My hands weren't shaking. I felt calmer than I'd felt in months. "Since we're apparently sharing surprises tonight, I've got a few of my own," I said into that microphone. I reached into my purse and pulled out a folder. A folder I'd been carrying around for 3 months, just waiting. Just preparing. "Tyler, baby," I said, looking right at him. "You remember all those work trips you've been taking? The ones where you said you were checking on the hotel properties." His face went completely white. I turned to face the crowd. Most of them still had their phones out, still recording. Perfect. Turns out my husband hasn't been working at all. He's been gambling. And not just gambling. Losing. Badly. I opened the folder and started pulling out papers. Bank statements. Transaction records. Everything I'd been collecting since I first got suspicious 3 months ago. Tyler has been stealing from the family business to cover his gambling debts. $280,000 so far. I have proof of everything right here. Wire transfers, forged signatures, the whole trail. The rooftop exploded in whispers. People gasping. Victoria's face went from proud to horrified in about 2 seconds flat. But I wasn't done. Not even close. Victoria, you want to talk about family values? I said, looking directly at her. Let's talk about your brother Richard. The one who's been managing the company's finances. The one who's been stealing from the business for the past 4 years. The one who's about to get audited by the IRS next week because someone sent them a very detailed tip with all the evidence they need. I watched her actually stumble backward. She grabbed onto a table to keep from falling, her perfect composure cracking like glass. Oh, and Amber, sweetheart, I said, turning to the pregnant mistress who suddenly looked scared. You might want to sit down for this part. I pulled out another set of papers from my folder. See, when you're a professional woman with connections, you know people. And those people know people. I had some research done. Turns out you've been sleeping with not just Tyler, but also his brother David for the past 7 months. I've got hotel records right here. Same hotels, different rooms, sometimes on the same nights. The crowd was completely frozen now. You could have heard a pin drop on that rooftop. That DNA test you're scheduled to take in 2 weeks? My money says that baby isn't Tyler's at all. Amber burst into tears and ran toward the exit. David, Tyler's brother, looked like he was going to be sick. Victoria had gone so pale I thought she might actually pass out. And honestly, part of me hoped she would. But I still wasn't finished. Not by a long shot. Here's the thing about all of you, I said into that microphone, and my voice was steady and strong. You thought you could humiliate me because I'm just the black girl who doesn't belong. You thought I'd cry and run away. You thought I'd sign whatever papers you shoved in my face and disappear quietly. I looked around at all those faces staring at me. Some shocked, some disgusted, some actually looking impressed. But you forgot something really important. I'm an architect. A damn good one. I design buildings that have to stand up to earthquakes. I solve problems that would make your head spin. And for the past 3 months, ever since I found out about the affair, I've been building something too. Not a building this time. A case. I pulled out another thick stack of papers from my folder. These ones had official seals on them. Legal documents. Victoria. Tyler. Let me introduce you to the real divorce papers. The ones I filed 6 weeks ago. The legal ones. The ones where I get the house we bought together. The ones where I get half of everything Tyler owns. The ones where I get damages for emotional distress and fraud. I paused and looked directly at Tyler, who was now shaking so hard he could barely stand. The ones where your son faces criminal charges for what he's done. Your little silver box surprise? Legally meaningless. You can't divorce someone who already filed for divorce. That's when my lawyer, Mr. Patterson, walked onto the rooftop. I'd had him waiting downstairs the whole time, just in case things went exactly the way I thought they would. He was carrying his briefcase and wearing that confident smile that lawyers get when they know they've already won. Good evening, everyone, he said pleasantly, like he was at a normal party. I have some documents to deliver. He walked over and handed Tyler a restraining order. Then he handed one to Victoria. Then he started handing legal notices to 3 other family members who were involved in the company fraud. The hotel company's board of directors has been notified, Mr. Patterson announced to the crowd. The authorities have been notified. And just so everyone here knows, everything that's happening tonight is completely legal and by the book. That's when Victoria actually fainted. Just collapsed right there in her expensive white pantsuit. Several people rushed to help her, but I didn't move. I wasn't done talking yet. You wanted to destroy me in front of all these people, I said into the microphone, looking at Tyler, who finally looked up and met my eyes. You wanted to humiliate me at my own birthday party. You wanted to make me feel small and worthless and like I never belonged in your perfect world. Tears were running down his face now, but I didn't feel sorry for him. Not even a little bit. But here's what you didn't understand. I never needed your family's money. I never needed your mother's approval. I never needed any of this. I gestured around the fancy rooftop party. I have my own money. I have my own career. I have my own power. The only thing I needed was to stop pretending that your family's acceptance mattered to me. I handed the microphone back to the very confused band singer and walked over to where my birthday cake was sitting. This massive thing with 5 layers covered in flowers. You know what? I said to Keisha, loud enough for people around us to hear. I paid for this cake. I'm taking it with me. And we did. We walked toward the exit, me carrying the top layer of my birthday cake, Keisha carrying the gifts that my real friends had brought, while 200 people stood there with their phones out, watching the whole thing. Tyler tried to follow me, tried to grab my arm and explain and apologize. But building security stopped him because of that restraining order that was now legally in effect. I could hear him calling my name as the elevator doors closed. But I didn't look back. I was done looking back. Keisha and I got in my car and just sat there for a minute in silence. Then she looked at me and said, "Girl, that was the most beautiful thing I've ever seen." And we both started laughing. Not sad laughing. Real, genuine, free laughing. The kind of laughing that comes from finally letting go of something that was crushing you. "I can't believe you did all that," she said, shaking her head. "How long have you been planning this?" 3 months, I told her. From the moment I found out about Amber, I knew. I knew this family would never just let me leave quietly. I knew Victoria would try to humiliate me somehow. So I started collecting evidence. Started building my case. Started preparing for war. "You're scary when you're smart," Keisha said, but she was smiling. "I'm scary when I'm underestimated," I corrected her. We drove to my sister's house that night. I'd already moved most of my important things there weeks ago. My degrees, my personal photos, my important documents. Everything that actually mattered. The house I'd shared with Tyler, that big mansion in the hills, I didn't care about it anymore. It was never really mine anyway. It was just another thing his family held over my head. That night, sleeping in my sister's guest room, I slept better than I had in years. The next morning, my phone was blowing up. The video had gone viral. Someone had posted it online, and it was everywhere. Millions of views. Thousands of comments. People were calling me a hero. Calling me savage. Calling me everything in between. But I didn't care about that either. I cared that I was free. The weeks after that party were intense, I won't lie to you. But not in the way you might think. Tyler's family tried everything to control the damage. They hired crisis PR firms. They put out statements saying the videos were taken out of context. They tried to paint me as a bitter ex-wife who was lying for revenge. But the evidence doesn't lie. And I had mountains of it. The IRS audit happened exactly when I said it would. Victoria's brother Richard was arrested for tax fraud and embezzlement. The family's hotel company went into emergency meetings. Their stock prices started dropping. Board members started resigning. Tyler's criminal case moved forward. His lawyers tried to get the charges dropped, but my documentation was too solid. Wire transfers don't lie. Forged signatures don't disappear just because you're rich. Amber had that DNA test. Turns out I was right. The baby was David's, not Tyler's. She tried to get David to step up and take responsibility, but he wanted nothing to do with her. Last I heard, she moved back to wherever she came from. No money, no mansion, no fairy tale ending. Victoria had a complete breakdown. She couldn't show her face at the country club anymore. Her friends stopped calling. Her perfect reputation in high society was destroyed. All because she couldn't keep her cruelty private. But here's what nobody expected. Here's the part that really made everything worth it. I started getting calls. Lots of calls. From women who saw the video. Women who'd been in similar situations. Women married into families that looked down on them. Women who felt trapped and small and like they didn't belong. They wanted to know how I did it. How I found the strength. How I planned everything. How I got my evidence. How I got out. And I helped them. Every single one I could. I started doing free legal consultations on the weekends. Nothing official, just conversations over coffee. Listening to their stories. Connecting them with good divorce lawyers. Teaching them how to protect their finances. Showing them they weren't alone. Some people called me bitter. Some people said I was vindictive. Some people said I should have handled it all privately, that airing everything publicly was wrong. But you know what? I don't regret a single second of it. Victoria wanted to humiliate me publicly. She wanted to break me in front of everyone who mattered in her world. She wanted to send a message that people like me don't belong. So I sent my own message. That women like me, black women who worked for everything they have, we're not going to be silent anymore. We're not going to shrink. We're not going to let you treat us like we should be grateful for your scraps. My career exploded in the best way. My firm made me a partner 6 months after the party. They loved that I'd handled my personal crisis with such strategic precision. They said it showed exactly the kind of thinking they valued. I bought my own place. Not a mansion. A beautiful modern condo with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the ocean. I decorated it exactly how I wanted. Bright colors. African art. Plants everywhere. No compromises. No trying to fit someone else's idea of what's classy. I started wearing my hair natural all the time. Big, bold, beautiful. No more straightening it to make other people comfortable. No more hiding who I really was. Keisha and I took a trip to Ghana with some of the settlement money. We visited the places our ancestors came from. We ate amazing food. We danced. We laughed. We healed. People ask me all the time if I'm angry, if I'm bitter, if I hate Tyler and his family. And honestly, I don't feel anything toward them anymore. Not hate, not anger, not even satisfaction at watching their empire crumble. I feel free. That's all. Just free. Free from trying to be someone I'm not. Free from seeking approval from people who were never going to give it. Free from playing small so other people could feel big. That night at the party, as horrible as it was meant to be, it freed me. It showed me exactly who I'd been pretending to be and who I actually am underneath all that pretending. I learned something important through all of this. You can't build a real life on trying to make people love you who are determined not to. You can't find happiness by shrinking yourself to fit into spaces that were never meant for you. And most importantly, I learned that a woman who knows her worth, who has her evidence ready, who refuses to be broken, she's unstoppable. It doesn't matter what color she is or where she comes from or who thinks she doesn't belong. My mother called me after the video went viral. She was worried at first, asking if I was okay, if I needed anything. "Mama," I told her, "I've never been better." "Baby girl," she said, and I could hear the pride in her voice. "You did exactly what I taught you. You stood up. You didn't let them break you. You came out stronger." And she was right. Everything my mother taught me about being strong, about protecting myself, about never letting anyone make me feel less than, it all came together that night. I wasn't the victim in that story. I was the warrior. Victoria thought she was teaching me a lesson about knowing my place. Instead, she taught me something much more valuable. She taught me that my place is wherever I decide it is, not where someone else thinks I belong. The divorce was finalized 3 months after the party. Clean, simple, exactly the way I planned it. Tyler tried to reach out a few times. Emails saying he was sorry. Messages saying he never wanted to hurt me. That his mother pressured him. That he made a mistake. I never responded. What was there to say? Sorry doesn't undo 5 years of letting someone treat you like you're not enough. It's been a year now since that birthday party. A whole year since my life completely changed. And you know what? I barely recognize the woman I used to be. The woman who straightened her hair to fit in. The woman who laughed at jokes that weren't funny. The woman who stayed quiet when Victoria made her little comments. The woman who convinced herself that being accepted by Tyler's family was worth losing herself. That woman is gone. And I don't miss her at all. Last month, I was featured in Architecture Digest for a community center I designed in South Los Angeles. It's a beautiful building with spaces for kids to learn, for families to gather, for the community to come together. It's exactly the kind of work I always wanted to do, but never had time for when I was too busy trying to be the perfect wife. The article called me a rising star in socially conscious architecture. They talked about my vision, my creativity, my commitment to uplifting communities that look like mine. Victoria probably saw that article. I hope she did. I hope she saw me succeeding, thriving, glowing without her son or her approval or her family's money. That's the real revenge, you know. Not the legal victories, though those felt pretty good. Not watching their company struggle or their reputation crumble. Though I won't lie and say I didn't smile when I heard about it. The real revenge is being genuinely happy. It's waking up every morning in my own space, looking at the ocean, drinking my coffee exactly how I like it, and not having to worry about making anyone else comfortable. It's wearing what I want, saying what I think, taking up space without apologizing for it. It's building the life I actually want instead of the life someone else thought I should have. Last week, I ran into one of Victoria's friends at a fundraiser. She looked at me with this mixture of pity and fascination, like I was some kind of exotic creature she'd only heard about. "How are you doing?" she asked, and you could tell she was fishing for gossip. She wanted to hear that I was struggling, that I regretted everything, that I was lonely and miserable without Tyler. "I'm incredible," I told her honestly. "Best year of my life." She didn't know what to say to that. She just nodded and walked away. Because the truth is, I am incredible. Not because of what I did at that party, but because of what I did after. I chose myself. I chose my peace. I chose my freedom over their acceptance. And that choice changed everything. Keisha got engaged last month. When she told me, she said something that made me cry. She said, Watching you stand up for yourself taught me what I deserve too. I almost married someone who made me feel small, but seeing your strength gave me strength. That's when I realized the ripple effect of that night. It wasn't just about me. It was about every woman who saw that video and realized she didn't have to accept being treated as less than. Every woman who found the courage to leave a situation that was killing her spirit. Every woman who decided her own approval was the only approval that mattered. I get messages every week from women I've never met. They tell me their stories. They ask for advice. They thank me for being brave. And I tell them all the same thing. I wasn't brave at that party. I was done. Done pretending. Done accepting. Done shrinking. Bravery came after. Bravery was building a new life from scratch. Bravery was facing the unknown alone. Bravery was choosing to be happy instead of right or bitter or angry. Sometimes people ask if I'd ever get married again. If I'd ever trust someone enough to build a life with them. And my answer is maybe. Someday. If I meet someone who adds to my life instead of asking me to subtract from myself. Someone who sees my strength as beautiful instead of threatening. Someone who wants a partner, not a project to mold into what their family expects. But if I never find that person, I'm okay. More than okay. I'm complete on my own. That's the lesson Victoria never learned. You can't make someone complete you. You have to be whole yourself first. Tyler reached out last month. A long email talking about therapy and growth and how much he's changed. He said he finally stood up to his mother. He said he realizes now what he lost. I read it once and then I deleted it. Not out of anger or bitterness. Just because I've moved on. His growth is his journey. His relationship with his mother is his problem to solve. And what we had, what we lost, it belongs in the past where I left it. I'm not interested in looking backward anymore. I'm too busy building forward. Next month, I'm starting a nonprofit. We're going to provide free architectural services to underserved communities. Building community centers, redesigning schools, creating spaces where people feel valued and safe. It's the work I always dreamed of doing. And now I have the freedom and the resources to actually do it. That's what that birthday party gave me. Not just freedom from a bad marriage, but freedom to become who I was always meant to be. So if you're reading this, if you're in a situation where you feel small or trapped, or like you have to hide who you really are to be accepted, let me tell you something. You deserve better. You deserve to take up space. You deserve to be celebrated for who you are, not tolerated despite it. And if the people in your life can't see that, if they keep trying to make you smaller to fit their vision, then maybe it's time to walk away. Yes, it's scary. Yes, it's hard. Yes, there will be moments when you question everything. But on the other side of that fear is freedom. Real, genuine, breathtaking freedom. They tried to break me at my birthday party. They tried to humiliate me in front of everyone. Instead, they freed me. And that is the greatest gift anyone could have given me. So thank you, Victoria. Thank you, Tyler. Thank you for showing me exactly who you were so I could finally become who I am. I'm living my best life now. And that, right there, is the best revenge of all.